This is chapter 12F, comparing proportions. You will use percentages, fractions, and decimal to compare proportions and solve problems. So let's go directly in. Leroy asked some students in year 8 which subject they liked best. What proportion of the boys chose math? What proportion of the boys chose science? Then compare the proportion of boys and girls that chose maths or science. Then write a concluding statement about what you notice. So at this time, pause and complete these problems. Okay, so if you notice, again, we use the word proportion, which basically means fraction, percentage, or decimal. What proportion of the boys only, chose maths? 8 out of the total 21. You cannot simplify that fraction, so you can leave it the way it is. You can convert it to percentage, of course, if you would like. For the sake of this tutorial, we'll keep it the way it is as a fraction. What proportion of the boys chose science? 7 out of 21. And yes, you can simplify this by dividing by 7, which makes 1 out of 3. And directly we know that 1/3 should be 33.3%. Compare the proportions of boys and girls that chose maths or science. Write a concluding statement about what you observed. So let's create a little more space. Here we go. So for maths, 8 out of 21 boys versus for girls, 2 out of 27. Now from previous chapters, we've talked about converting these fractions into percentage by simply taking your numerator and you're dividing it by your denominator. And once you have that, you times it by 100 to get your percentage. And 8 out of 21, when you actually calculate this as a percentage, is 38%. And for girls, 2 out of 7, so 2 divided by 27, then times it by 100 equals approximately 7%. Now, that's for maths. Let's look at science. So for science, 7 out of 21 boys, which we concluded was a third, which is 33.3%, versus the girls, which is 9 out of 21, which reduces down to 3/7, which is approximately 43%. So let's compare. Now it says, write a concluding statement about what you noticed. So let's look at our information. For boys, 38% chose maths, while only 7% were girls. Girls chose math. Only 7% of girls chose maths. Now if we look at science, boys who chose science were at 33.3%, whereas girls who chose science were at 43%. So, for example, one concluding statement you can say is that more boys chose maths over science, because 38% versus 33%. And you can also say more girls chose science than maths, because it's 43% versus 7%. You could also say in science, more girls preferred science than boys. You can also say in maths, more boys preferred maths than girls. So there's many things you can really say about this information. It's really up to you. It's very open. And that's it.